Going, gone. Air New Zealand's final flight between Kapiti Coast and Auckland took to the skies this morning, and less than an hour later the airline packed up its stuff and left the airport for good. Locals are outraged Air New Zealand has cut its daily service between the two centres, with 150 of them turning up to a rally at the airport last weekend. Katie Scotcher filed this report from the Kapiti Coast.
Flight 8860 took off from the Kapiti Coast just after 7 this morning and flew into a grey, cloudy sky. About 20 onlookers wearing black T-shirts emblazoned with Fly Kapiti, including acting Mayor James Cootes, district councillors and other community leaders, gathered to farewell the plane. Among the spectators was Pip Sinclair, who worked for Air New Zealand when the airline first came to Kapiti in 2011.
Over the last 8 years, a lot of people when I walked in this morning were regulars that I've met through here. So those people aren't going to be here in the mornings. They're not going to be supporting our cafes, they're not going to be supporting our taxi drivers, our public transport. They're all going to be having to go into Wellington or Palmerston North. So they may have just pulled out as an airport, as an airline, but the actual wider effect is much bigger.
The national carrier announced it was scrapping the service less than a month ago. And Chris Orchard, who owns Island Cafe inside the airport, says the future of his business is now uncertain. He says 80% of the cafe's turnover comes from the airport.
The short term that we've had 3 weeks' notice to rethink our business plan and come up with something new, it's been a bit of a shock for sure. We were looking at shutting up.
Kapiti Coast resident Sandy Beattie, who was on this morning's final flight, regularly uses the service to visit her sick mother in Auckland.
We travel overseas, so I've used it for that, and also for business purposes. So in the last few weeks I've probably flown 3 or 4 times out of here. So it's going to be very inconvenient to have to then get up very, very early and go into Wellington.
Air Chathams have expressed interest in picking up the service, but a final decision won't be made for a few weeks. An airport spokesperson says discussions with the airline are progressing well, but because Air Chatham's aircraft are different to those that previously operated from the airport, technical and regulatory requirements are having to be considered. The Mayor of Kapiti, Kay Gurunathan, wasn't able to attend this morning's farewell, but has openly criticised Air New Zealand for giving the council 24 hours notice before publicly announcing it was axing the route. His replacement, acting Mayor James Cootes, is hopeful Air Chathams will take over the service.
I'd like to think we could be standing here in a year's time looking back and we've got more flights out of this airport, better level of service. It's a great family-owned company, so as I think has already been said, quite a good fit for the airport and for Kapiti. When things like this happen, it doesn't always have to be a negative outcome, and I think it's always good to try and turn it around and get the most positive outcome out of it as we can.
Air New Zealand wouldn't allow RNZ to speak to its staff at the airport, take photos of the plane or its signage. And within an hour of the plane's departure, a truck arrived to take away the airline's equipment from the airport. RNZ contacted Air New Zealand to ask about the removal of their equipment and today's flight,